Yeah, let me record this session. And what I have today for you, today I have for you William Wordsworth as a critic. And just sharing some images, you will be able to understand what I have for you. Yeah, just sharing. So what I have taken for you, I have taken for you William Wordsworth as a critic. William Wordsworth as a critic, yeah, as a theorist, yeah, William Wordsworth's contribution in the field of criticism, especially his poetic diction, his views on poet and poetry. Let me share the image. This is, I think, it's visible. Yeah, yeah. First, I would like to go. This is the image I have taken somewhere, and I think it's in the form of PT. Someone has prepared, but I don't know that who is that one. Here you find, especially William Wordsworth's contribution. How key William Wordsworth's contribution, especially the lyrical ballad, because his views on poetry, and you can say uh, poetic diction came in lyrical ballad. So the first edition of lyrical ballad came in 1798, and it has 23 poems. 19 were written by William Wordsworth and 4 by Coleridge. But in the preface of the lyrical ballad, the preface of lyrical ballad that the that came in 1800, that was the second edition. So you find that the preface of the lyrical ballad, uh, preface was added by whom? Preface was added by William Wordsworth. So you find here the second important point, and what is that? The preface and second edition 1800. An appendix was added in 1802. An appendix was added in 1802. And essay supplementary in 1815. So I took these things because these things are important. Literary criticism demolishes old and faulty. So this is very important, and this piece I have taken, but I don't know what was the source. It's not mine, but here you will get some information. And what is that? The lyrical ballads in 1798. The first edition of lyrical ballad came in 1798. Rama, are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I have shared with you an image. An image I have shared with you. In this image, you find Wordsworth as a critic. This is a piece of, uh, uh, you can say, it's the slide prepared by someone. I got it. It's not mine. I have shared it only to tell you when I talk about Wordsworth as a critic, yeah, when I say Wordsworth contribution as a critic, then you find his contribution only and only where, only and only, uh, especially in preface to lyrical ballad. So before starting Wordsworth as a critic, it was essential to know where do you find Wordsworth's role of criticism. So we find his role of criticism, yeah, his views on his views on poetry, his views on, you can say, poetic diction, in the preface to lyrical ballad that came in 1800. That was the second edition of lyrical ballad, in preface to lyrical ballad. So I find there. What I want to say, what I want to tell you, whenever you and I go with these points, yeah, whenever you and I take these points, always keep in mind that Wordsworth was not a well-known theorist. He was a well-known poet, and in support of his poetry and poem, he gave some concepts of, you can say, he gave some concepts, yes, some principles related to poetry, these things. Rama, please
Okay,
mute.
sir.
Yeah. So you find these points, and when you and I discuss about these things, what we have to keep in our mind, we have to keep in our mind that the first edition of the lyrical ballad came in 1798. The lyrical ballad 1798. And second point, you find in the first edition, when lyrical ballad came, it has 23 poems. 19 were written by William Wordsworth and 4 by Coleridge. And preface to lyrical ballad, that was the second edition. It came in 1800. In the second edition, preface was added by whom? Preface was added by William Wordsworth. and in 1802 the appendix was added. An appendix was added. And you find in 1815 an essay supplementary was added. So these things you find, and in the preface, in appendix and essay supplementary, in these things you find Wordsworth views related to poem, and especially his views about poetic diction. और उनका जो लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म है उसमें he demolishes old and faulty things. So these are the points which you have to keep in your mind कि ये चीजें वर्ड्सवर्थ के अकाउंट में आती है. So I think you got it. Let me share another image. You got it. Okay. Let me share another image. Now I will discuss with you Wordsworth का work at a glance. The work of Wordsworth at a glance. Just sharing with you here another image, and you find this one. And what you find? You find ki whatever the point I tell you ki these points are significant, you have to note down those points because those points are highly significant. You don't have to compromise with those points. You are preparing for civil means any examination, you will get it. So I'm telling you ki Wordsworth was born on 7th April 1770. This is a very important point. He was born on 7th April 1770. Number one. And where was he was born? He was born in Cockermouth. Wordsworth was born on 7th April 1770, Cockermouth, Cumberland, England. Already you know these things. It's not a new one. You have already gone, you are already familiar with these points. So I just want to tell you, if I say that Wordsworth was born on 7th April 1770, Cockermouth, Cumberland, England, died 23rd April 1850, aged 80, Rydal, Westmoreland, England. This is the second important point. His birth and his death. His birth 1770 and his death 1850. दोनों कहाँ पे हुआ है? इंग्लैंड में हुआ है. प्लेस अलग अलग, एक कॉकरमाउथ कम्बरलैंड और दूसरा आपका, and the second was what? Second was what? England. Now you find spouses में Mary Hutchinson. You found with Mary Hutchinson he married 1802 and she died in 1850. उनके चिल्ड्रन में डोरा वर्ड्सवर्थ, रिलेटिव्स में डोरोथी वर्ड्सवर्थ सिस्टर, क्रिस्टोफर वर्ड्सवर्थ ब्रदर, रिचर्ड वर्ड्सवर्थ ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रांडसन, जॉन वर्ड्सवर्थ उनका क्या है? निफ्यू है. सो यू फाइंड दिस थिंग. उनका अल्मा मेटर क्या था? सेंट जॉन्स कॉलेज कैम्ब्रिज. सो these are the information या these are the things which are highly significant. ये सब के सब उनके इंफॉर्मेशन है जो काफी important रहे हैं या है. But we all have to keep these things in our mind कि already you have gone, even you know it, but I think you need to revise it again and again. He was born on 7th April 1770, Cockermouth, Cumberland, died in 1850, at a Rydal, Westmoreland. Mary Hutchinson was his wife. So you find these things. And the next point is children, Dora Wordsworth, relative Dorothy Wordsworth, Christopher Marlowe brother, Richard Wordsworth, and you find उनका अल्मा मेटर क्या था? सेंट जॉन्स कॉलेज. All these things. So at a glance you came to know about his life, about his relatives, and especially his alma mater. Now sharing with you another image. Yeah, sharing with you another image, especially about his works. Yeah, you find this. उनके जो वर्क्स हैं कैसे? सबसे पहला चीज कि उन्होंने जो पोयम को कंपोज करना शुरू किया, lyrical ballads, lyrical ballads with a few other poems 1798. जो lyrical ballads है, जो 1798 आया हुआ, already I told you it was a jointly work of S.T. Coleridge, and whom it was a jointly work of S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth. I just want to know, Rama, how many poems were written by William Wordsworth and how many by Coleridge? Can you explain?
Yes, sir. Sir, 19
Yeah,
poems were written by Wordsworth and 4 poems written by Coleridge.
yeah, okay, that's good. And which was the first poem?
Hmm.
Which was the first poem?
Sir, preface to lyrical ballad.
No, preface to lyrical ballad. It was added in 1800. I'm asking about 1798 में जो उनका 23 poems आया था, उस
This one.
23 poems में कौन सी पहली poem थी?
Sir, I don't remember.
Okay, that doesn't matter. Tinted Abbey, and the
Okay, sir.
concluding was Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. तो 23 पोयम में टिंटन अबे स्टार्टिंग पोयम थी और लास्ट पोयम कौन सी थी? राइम ऑफ द
Rime of Ancient Mariner.
एंशिएंट मैरिनर.
Okay.
नाउ यू फाइंड कि जो लिरिकल बैलाड है विद अ फ्यू अदर पोयम्स, इसमें कौन कौन सी और पोयम्स थी? साइमन ली, वी आर सेवन, लाइन्स रिटन इन अर्ली स्प्रिंग, expostulation and reply, the tables turned, the thorn, lines composed a few miles above Tinton
Abbey.
Abbey. You find these poems. These are the famous poems. Though you find कि 23 poems, उसमें total जो poems था 23 था, but these were the famous poems. So you find what I want to tell you कि इनमें से कोई भी ऐसा पोएम नहीं जो आपको ना याद करना पड़े. मतलब एट अ ग्लास में यू मस्ट नो कि साइमन ली वाज कंपोज्ड बाय विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ, वी आर सेवन was composed by this man, lines written in early spring, expostulation and reply, the tables turned, the third lines composed a few miles above Tinton Abbey. And in the second edition, जो सेकेंड एडिशन आया था लिरिकल बैलाड का, लिरिकल बैलाड्स विद अदर पोएम 1800 में जो आया था, उसका सेकेंड एडिशन जिसमें प्रीफेस टू द लिरिकल बैलाड्स जोड़ा गया था. प्रीफेस टू द लिरिकल बैलाड वाज एडेड बाय हु? प्रीफेस टू द लिरिकल बैलाड वाज एडेड बाय हु? Rama?
Sir, sir, preface to lyrical ballad added by Wordsworth.
Yes.
Yes,
जब
sir.
भी ये क्वेश्चन आएगा कि हु एडेड प्रीफेस, प्रीफेस वाज एडेड बाय विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ.
Yeah.
और ये कब पब्लिश हुआ था?
Sir, 1800 में.
या सो यू फाइंड कि प्रीफेस टू द लिरिकल बैलाड इट वाज एडेड बाय विलियम वर्ड्सवर्थ एंड इट केम इन 1800. नाउ यू फाइंड strange fits of passion have I known. It's also the work of she dwelt among the uncharted ways. Yes, she grew, slumbered in my spirit seal. I travelled among unknown men. Lucy Gray, the 2 April morning, the solitary reaper, nutty. So these things I have taken from Wikipedia because at a glance you come to know ki which work came in the first edition of Lyrical Ballad and which work came in the second edition of Lyrical Ballad. Now, yeah, please mute.
Yes.
Now you find what? Now you find कि you came to know about his works, but उनका वर्क अभी पूरा नहीं हुआ है. Just sharing you another image, and in this image, yeah, you will come to know about his remaining work. You find this, and here you find what? Here you find कि माइकल ऊपर लिखा गया है, माइकल पोयम आया था, द किटेन एट प्ले लिखाया हुआ था। फिर उनका एक नेक्स्ट वॉल्यूम आया था कि पोयम्स इन टू वॉल्यूम्स। जो पोयम्स इन टू वॉल्यूम्स आया उसमें रिजोल्यूशन एंड इंडिपेंडेंस, या इनका काफी इंपॉर्टेंट वॉल्यूम था, काफी अच्छी अच्छी पोयम्स आई हुई थी। आई वंडर लोनली एज अ क्लाउड, आल्सो नो माई हार्ट लीप्स अप ओड, intimations of immortality, ode to duty, the solitary reaper, elegiac stanzas composed upon Westminster Bridge, London. ये सब sonnet रहा. The world is too much with us. Already we have gone. We have read The World is Too Much with Us. We have read London. We have gone. So what I want to say, what I want to tell you कि whenever you go with these points, you here find that कि ये सारे के सारी चीजें important रही है, या इसमें से ये सारी की सारी चीजें हम लोगों ने कवर किया है। सो वी फाइंड व्हाट? वी फाइंड हियर फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन, वी फाइंड गाइड टू द लेक्स, वी फाइंड टू द कुकू, वी फाइंड द एक्सकर्जन, वी फाइंड द लायोडेमिया, द व्हाइट डो ऑफ रिल स्टोन, पीटर बेल ecclesiastical sonnets, the prelude, all these things you find. So nothing here important, ऐसा नहीं है कि जो बहुत ज्यादा अलग से रहा। रमा, हम आपको जो है अभी इतना तो मैंने वर्क बता दिया है, उनका लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म हम आपको 15 मिनट बाद डिस्कस करते हैं। अभी मैं आपको जस्ट वो भेज रहा हूँ उसको, उसका लिटरेरी
Okay, sir.
क्रिटिसिज्म का पोर्शन मुझे लगता है कि इमेज थोड़ा सा ब्लर है। मैं जस्ट उसको भेज रहा हूँ।
Okay, sir.